A little less than 20 seconds. Welcome to AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Roskopf. AbilityMKE Now is a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability has a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. I am so excited to have a wonderful show set for tonight. I think my first thing, before I bring in our special guest, I have a returning guest joining us, and I would love to bring Deby Miller in to get the conversation started here with us. And then we will follow with our featured guest. Deby, come on in. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. It's chilly here in Kansas City, but I'm sure Milwaukee's not much warmer, or not even as warm. So that keeps us all close to the radio, listening online or whatever. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Always glad to have you here, Deby. So we are privileged to have Todd Mitchell joining us tonight. Todd is the owner of Cybersecurity for Biz LLC, which is a disabled veteran-owned small business. He is retired from the U.S. Navy. He's a veteran there and cybersecurity expert with over 30 years of experience. He is a member of the NIST CSF Advisory Board. He holds advanced degrees in cybersecurity policy, IT, and business. Todd helps solopreneurs and micro businesses achieve compliance with regulations like HIPAA, FTC GLBA, Safeguards Rule, PCI DSS, and CMMC 2.0. He also empowers families to stay safe from online threats through prevention-focused strategies that build a cyber-safe culture. So I know I'm so happy to have you here, Todd. I'm excited to have you sharing a bit more with what you do. And if you want to go ahead and come on in, say hello, and share a bit more of your background with us. So glad to have you here.
Thank you, Sue. I'm honored to be here, and it's good to meet you, Deb. Yeah, I love the opportunity here to have a good conversation and look forward to it.
Excellent. Now, I know I mentioned a lot of, earlier kind of casually called it alphabet soup with all the different acronyms. Wonder if you could share a bit more about what those are and why they're pertinent to all of us.
Okay. So HIPAA is the Health Information Portability Act. It's been out for a long time. Most people have heard of HIPAA. That's the federal law that governs how people handle your healthcare information, your patient records and things like that. The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, or GLBA, has a safeguards rule that speaks to how you handle your customers' financial information, bank accounts and taxes and things like that. So a lot of your bookkeepers and tax preparers are following that, as well as financial advisors and things. And then the CMMC, that's for government contractors. That's basically the rules that govern how they handle sensitive information from the government, whether it's secret or top secret or whatever it is. And then what kind of wraps all those together is what you were talking about with the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, the NIST CSF. That's the core set of cybersecurity rules behind the scenes that all those other laws are based off of.
Excellent. And how did you get started in all of this?
Well, I got started. I was a late bloomer going to college because I joined the Navy to get out of college in the first place. And after I retired from the Navy, I decided to go to college and reinvent myself. And I was a 42-year-old freshman sitting in a class full of 18-year-olds looking around going, what the heck am I doing, right? But I went to the career counselor's office, and they have you take some tests to see what you want to do when you grow up. And mine came back computer, computer, and computer for my 3 options, which didn't really surprise me because I was a huge computer geek anyways. And so I started pursuing my IT degree, and I had to take a couple of classes because I started in the summer, so most of the good classes were already taken. And I ended up with this class in ethical hacking and got bit by the bug. And that was it. It was from that, I was just like, this was so fascinating to me that I just kind of stayed with that course. I got a job working for the Marine Corps doing software development and cybersecurity, because at that time, software was written and then you tried to make it safe, and we were trying to change the thinking and make software safe from the beginning as it was being built, instead of add a bunch of band-aids on top of it after it was done. And my best friend got hacked, and he was a solopreneur, and he asked me to find somebody to help him because he had his database lost his database with all his music, and he was a DJ. And we couldn't find anybody in the cybersecurity world that will work with anybody with less than 250 employees. And so I ended up helping him myself in my spare time, and he brought a couple other people to me, and I helped them, and eventually he convinced me to open my own business. So that's kind of what brought me to this line of work. And I kind of came into it with a mission of being the little guy helping the little guy, because nobody else will, basically. I guess that'll feed off of my military, where I got to have a mission bigger than myself, you know. So that's kind of what brought me to where I'm at.
Excellent. And so now you have your own business, and the name of that then is Cybersecurity for Biz. And before I forget, I want to make sure to have a mention of what is your website?
So my website is Cybersecurity for Biz, and that's with the number 4. So it's cybersecurity number 4 biz.com, and I've got a lot of information on there, resources and tips, free download sheets on telling you how to do different things, because I'm real big on teaching prevention. One of those things a lot of people don't realize, Hollywood does us a huge injustice, because all the they show in the movies make you think that there's some guy in a hoodie in his mom's basement clacking away on a keyboard, and that's how you get hacked. In reality, 92% of data breaches are caused by human error, and 85% of that human error is clicking on a phishing email. So if we get people to quit clicking phishing emails, you can pretty much eliminate data breaches. So I'd focus on that a lot in a lot of the materials on my website are focused towards how to recognize these things and things you can do to keep yourself safe for free, cheap, and easy, sitting at home on your computer.
That's amazing. So that one, actually, you blew me away on that statistic, because yeah, I'm totally a sucker for those high energy cop type shows where they're exactly what you just described, the guy in the hoodie with all the big monitors and doing his thing, and that it's actually more the phishing emails and clicking on stuff.
We're our own worst enemies. 92% the human error, and it encompasses everything from spilling coffee or accidentally deleting files or whatever. But the biggest chunk of that is phishing emails, clicking on them buttons, clicking on some bad link, or downloading a picture or something, and the next thing you know, you got malware on your computer and they're stealing all your information.
Oh, okay. So totally different perspective in my head right now. So thank you for that. That's amazing. Yeah, I know I'm gonna have to go look and see what kind of resources that you have. I actually work at a university, and that is something I'm very lucky. My guys in the IT department do a great job of monitoring all those kinds of things for us. But I've said before, with talking with my husband too, like, if I didn't have that, what would I do? Because there's moments where I see these little pop-ups on my screen of, oh, malware. It's like, where's this coming from? I don't even know. I don't think I did anything, but out of nowhere, there it's popping up and saying, hey, don't, you got to get out of here. So
Yeah.
how does the average person know what to do?
Well, and that's part of my my goal with my agenda for coming on shows like this is to kind of push my agenda of preparedness and prevention. Some of the little things, I call it the core four: strong passwords, obviously. Now, if you ever used a Word document or a PDF and you go, hit the find button and search for like the word marketing in a 200-page PDF, and it comes back instantly and tells you all the places that found it. That's how fast they can find your password if you can find it in the dictionary. So those old passwords from the 80s and 90s that we've been using with your dog's name and the number 1 on the end of it or something, that does not cut it anymore. You can track that in seconds. So you want to have like the best way is think of like a phrase, right? So like your favorite book title or something, and then each word in that phrase starts switching out letters and with numbers and symbols inside there. Like the word field, instead of FIELD, have it be F!3LD. You won't find that in the dictionary. So think of that when you're doing your passwords. The second thing is multi-factor authentication, and this is one of those stomp your foot from the professor thing that this is on the quiz. Think of this: if somebody finds out your username and password to get into your bank, right? There's 3 billion people on this planet that can get on the internet and access your bank account. If you have multi-factor authentication and now they have to have a code that got texted to your phone, there's only a half a dozen people that have access to your phone. So you just reduce the amount of people that can hack you from billions down to a handful. I mean, it really is. It's like a deadbolt on your front door. It's there. Why aren't you using it? And then the other things you could do is keep your software up to date. Make sure that your settings are set up as strong as possible, and just keeping that. People don't realize that the benefits of keeping your software up to date. I know it's a pain. Every Wednesday you wake up and have to restart your computer as you're just getting going to work. But if a bad guy figured out how to hack into Windows last week and Windows fixed it, and you didn't update the latest software, then they can hack into your computer.
Thanks.
And then the fourth thing is one we were already talking about, which is the phishing. Learn the signs on how to recognize a phishing attack. A lot of it's common sense. If you get something from PayPal that said, here's a receipt for your auto renewal, and it's like, well, do you even use PayPal? Do you pay bills with it? And then you look at the email itself, and it went to undisclosed recipients, so they blind copied this thing. It's like, if it's a receipt, why do they send it to a bunch of other people? It's yours, and then you look at the email address and see where it came from. Did it actually come from PayPal, or did it come from somebody else? It's little things like that. And look at the file size. A lot of people, if you work in an office, you might be familiar with all the file sizes, but I've had one before that came to me, and I'm looking at the file, and the PDF was 250 megabits. And I'm like, a piece of paper is like 12 kilobytes. So if I downloaded this, I'm getting a whole lot more than a receipt. And it's, just little things like that. That's what I show people is those are the kind of things that you can do to protect yourself, is just being aware, using good common sense, basic cybersecurity stuff of strong passwords and multi-factor authentication, and keeping software up to date, and just knowing how to recognize a phishing attack.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, so many practical pieces. I love it. And Debbie, I want to make sure if you have any questions or comments, feel free to jump in here too. I know. Do you have anything? Go right ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say I had a one-to-one with Todd not too long ago, and it was some great information. So yeah, this is something that we all need, whether you're just a family or family business or an actual big business. These are vital information.
Yeah.
And people don't always know what they don't know along the way too. And that's where catching all these pieces and mentioning that helps a ton. It gives us more things to think about and protect ourselves with.
And that's one of the disadvantages of being a small business owner or being in a family, that works from home and things. You don't get, in a big corporation, all the employees have that annual training they got to go to for sexual harassment and all the other things. And cybersecurity is tossed in there. But if you work for yourself, you don't have any of those annual trainings to go to. It's like, so you have to take it upon yourself to go learn this stuff. But then you run into that, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't even know you need to go learn it. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a big obstacle. But I think a lot of people nowadays are starting to, cybersecurity is starting to become a thing. It's progressed. 20, 30 years ago, it was big government hacking big government, and then it was, governments hacking big businesses, and now it's just out there, and that's why they call it phishing. Nobody woke up this morning and said, "Oh, I got to hack Sue's computer." That goes back to that hoodie with, clacking away on the keyboard. They just literally, it's just like when you go fishing. You don't go to a lake and go, "Oh, I want that fish." You just throw a hook out and see who's going to bite. They just throw all this stuff out on the internet and see who's going to be naive enough or whatever to click that button. That's all they're doing. And it doesn't matter to them who you are, because they'll just get in and search your computer and see if there's any good stuff in there or not. And if you're a bookkeeper or a tax preparer or a financial firm or a doctor's office or a hospital, then they hit pay dirt, get all kinds of good stuff.
I think too, a lot of people are still a little confused maybe about what we're actually talking about, security. I mean, a lot of people still think that the only place that they really need help is with their bank account. And that, most of the real professional hackers don't really care whether your bank account has $100 in it or 100 with lots of zeros behind it. Because, I mean, they can buy them by the handfuls, this information that we all have out there, whether we actually have put it out there or not. And so there's a lot more of it. And actually the bank stuff is really fraud, not really anything to do with cyber security. So we keep getting, I still am running into people thinking, no, nobody wants my bank account. Yes, they want your information. They don't really care about your bank account. They care about your information. And so it's still a teaching atmosphere to help people understand exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. And to put some numbers on that, on the dark web, they sell social security numbers. There's like Excel spreadsheets that have hundreds of thousands of social security numbers, or thousands or hundreds of thousands, whatever, however many they have on their list, and they'll sell them for about $2 a piece. Bank accounts, credit cards, they'll go for like $20 a piece if you can prove it's new enough that it hasn't been shut off yet. Right? Now, just to put that into reference, a Google credentials, Gmail credentials for a Google account is worth $65. And the reason why it's so much more than the others is because people will be like, "Oh, my email, I don't say, I didn't go up to my grandma about a kitten. Who cares? I don't have nothing to protect." Kind of like what Deb was just saying, But that's not the case. You're not thinking about the big picture. What do you use to log into your Android phone? Your Google. What did you use to make your Microsoft account you use to get into your Windows computer? What do you use to make your Apple ID that you use to get into all your Apple devices and store all your stuff in the cloud and all that stuff? So when they get your Gmail address, they have access to all your devices. And now they can go look at the rest of your files, and see what else you have on there. And it's just information. That's one of my things I like to tell people when I first start out in a lot of my presentations. I start out with, why? Why are they trying to hack you? Because information is money. And if you don't think information is money, then why are the 5 biggest companies in the world give everything for free? Facebook, Google, you don't pay for any of that stuff. Well, if you're a business, you can pay for some work suite stuff. But for the most part, they're doing it because they collect all your information and sell it to marketing companies. That's how they're getting rich. The bad guys are doing the same thing. They're collecting all your information and selling it to other bad guys and getting rich. And that's it. That's the bottom line. They're just trying to get information about you. And that's why medical records are so well protected, because you could change your social security number. You could change your credit card number. You can get a different bank account. You can't change the fact that you're 50 years old with diabetes and a mole on your cheek. That's it. You're stuck with that. So you're stuck with information in your medical record. That is good forever. So if somebody gets a hold of that, they can use it however they want, and it's not going to change.
Oh, so many things to think about. My goodness. And I even think back, I don't know, a few years ago, I mean, Kurt we all have our Facebook accounts, right? And something as simple as somebody hacked him on his Facebook account. It was around the time when that two-factor authentications was starting to happen, and we just didn't have that set up yet. But whoever the person was that hacked him, they set it up, and now we went around, dozens and dozens of times trying to recover it, because he had like 5,000 friends on there, and he had pictures and all this stuff. There was nothing we could do. I still don't know. My head spins like, how do you get it back? You can't. You're screwed. It's like
you really can't. And actually, he's kind of lucky that all they did was steal some of his stuff. Because normally, now what I've seen a lot, mostly Instagram, not Facebook as much, but people get their social media account hacked, and then whoever it is sends a sob story out to all your private message to all your friends and family. How some poor old lady on the side of the road, broke in the rain with no gas, and send me $20, and then everybody sends them money, and now you find out. So now not only did you get your stuff, taken, and your account gets shut down, you can't get access to it, but now you got to live with the I don't know, shame or embarrassment or whatever of having all your friends get hacked and have all your, or I shouldn't say hacked, but having them get scammed and send money to somebody they're never going to see again. Yeah, it's in the 70s, they thump you over the head and steal your purse. Nowadays, they hack your Instagram and hit up all your friends for money. It's just a new digital age.
A new con. And it works. Sadly, it works. I mean, even as simple, I know I was saying, at work, I've got all of those things that are in place there. I'm super lucky to have all the protections I have with the experts, but every once in a while an email gets, slides through and slides by, and it was probably 2 years ago that I'm checking my work email on my phone, and I was in a hurry, and it looked like it was from somebody I knew at work, and I clicked on it, and nope, I shouldn't have done that. It was just that fast. Right. And I'm aware of all this stuff. I mean, I think about people that are not as aware, and what do you do? All it takes is I'm in a hurry, and I knew what it was.
And that's mostly what I help, as my business does, as a business model. That's mostly what I do, is I help solopreneurs do all those protections that you're talking about, like the big college is doing for you. Because when you're a solopreneur, you don't have that umbrella of some other organization taking care of everything. So I go in and help people with a layer of security software, but also taking a look at how they bring in information, where they store it, how do they send it out, and what can we do to make that safer, and training everybody, whether it's just you or your family or your coworkers or employees or whatever, but train everybody on how to recognize a phishing attack and some of the other basics. And that's usually, this is a case of, in the hacker world, we have a saying called, if you're targeted, you're hacked. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do. And I use the analogy of just like if I wanted to get into your house, right? You can have deadbolts, you can have ADT alarms, you can have all this other stuff. If I get a big old pickup truck and just drive right through the front wall of your living room, I'm coming in. I mean, there's no way you can stop me from getting in your house if I want it bad enough, right? So it's the same thing with the cybersecurity. You don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the guy next to you. You do the basics and keep yourself not as vulnerable, and then move on and find somebody else that's an easier target. That's kind of the name of the game.
So, and I know we just have a couple more minutes here to go. So I do want to make sure to ask a little bit too about, I know you've got the military history, and what if you want to share a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah. So I I did 20 years in the Navy on amphibious assault ships, which means basically we're the ones that take the Marines off the war. So it's as big as an aircraft carrier, but it doesn't have the jets. We have helicopters, and then up inside the ship, you got 3,000 Marines and all the gear they need to start a war: tanks, jeeps, Humvees, all that stuff. That's how I became service disabled veteran. Was one of the tours I did was earlier in my career was the first Gulf War. I ended up back over there again, Afghanistan and Iraq. But and during the first Gulf War, I got exposed to a bunch of different chemicals and had a lot of illnesses as a result of that. So I guess they years later they lumped them all together and named it Gulf War syndrome. But back when I was experiencing most of it, they didn't have a name for it yet. But yeah, but I love the military. I really am proud of what I accomplished. I set out to travel and see the world, and I definitely did. I've been to 36 different countries, I think it is, something like that.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I got to ask then, was there a favorite place that you were at, as far as whatever favorite means to you, whether it's the beauty or whatever it is?
I think Italy.
Ah.
I lived in Italy for 4 years. I brought my family over there and everything. And I'll tell you what, it was like living in a Pinocchio movie. You know how you watch, I don't know if you ever seen a Pinocchio movie, with all the ladies are out banging the carpet, you know, the rugs with a broom and hanging on the balconies and going into town and buying like that food for the day and bringing it home. That's literally how they still live over there. That's the culture. And I really enjoyed it. It's a very nice, kind of a little bit more laid back, and that, you know, we got the sayings over here, but we don't really live them. Over there, the community raises the kids. If you're not acting right as a parent, somebody will call you out in a minute. Total stranger walk up to you in the middle of the street and start cussing you out because you're not making your kid walk next to the building or whatever it is. You know, yeah, it's a different environment, and I really liked it.
I love it. That's amazing. I've not been there, so
Not to mention the fact that half the buildings are 3,000 years old and the place is gorgeous. But you know, there was that too.
Amazing. Oh, I love it. So I do want to be sure to ask as well, then, if you had any piece, I know you've had a lot of nuggets here already tonight. If there's any take-home message you want to make sure that everybody has, and Debbie, I'll ask you the same too, but Todd, what kind of take-home message, what do you want to leave people with tonight?
Let's see. I think the biggest thing would be learn how to recognize a phishing attack and use multi-factor authentication. Those two things right there, if everybody in the world did it, it would completely change the way the digital world works.
Excellent. That makes total sense. Thank you so much. And Debbie, how about you as well? A take-home message you've got for us.
Well, just that it's security is not what it used to be. It's not just lock the front door and maybe the back door and hope you're good. This is a whole different ball game. And so, as we've mentioned before, we don't know what we don't know, and we need to know as much as we can and be as protected as we can. So I thank you, Todd, for sharing this information.
Excellent. And Todd, if you could mention one more time what your website is.
Cybersecurity for biz with the number 4.com.
Excellent. Well, this has been such an enlightening conversation. I really can't thank you both enough for being here and sharing your expertise and giving us so many things to think about and consider as we are preparing our own, gosh, whether it's anything that we do online, because our information is out there, and just to be able to protect ourselves. I know with Legal Shield and what you do with cybersecurity for biz, that we're able to do what we need to take care of ourselves. So I am here with AbilityMKE Now, and as always, we thank you. Excellent. All right, the recording is wrapping up. It'll tell us in a moment that it's done. I'll trim that. But